Well, hello, and welcome back to another legendary episode of the one and only Speculation Alley. It's
Legends of Mara.
Legends of Mara. That's what our new hashtag. We are Legends of Mara. Not really. No, we have nothing to do with that project. We are Speculation Alley. We are purely here to pump our bags. Hashtag pump our bags. What's up, my boy? Here, as usual, with me is CryptoDilly. That was a really fun intro. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good, dude. I'm just ready to pump my bags, so you know we're going to be talking about Puma. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Let's get into it. So, what specifically are we talking about with Puma? Just Puma? Are we going to get into 10KTF at all? Or what's...
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so this past week we got Puma, we got this announcement from Gucci, and then we also got Legend of the Mara, right? So, we got a lot to unpack, but I think the main focal point is we had the second trip that just happened. And within the second trip, we had these team captains where we went out, we explored the other side. During the missions, we actually split up into different teams and we had a mini game to accomplish. And during that mini game, your team captain led you through a series of different things to collect these blobs, and you got points that were allocated. At the end, the team that actually scored the most points, they actually earned a helmet, an in-game helmet, and they were able to drop those to every unique wallet in real time. Now, that game mechanic is fascinating because it correlates so well to something that we've all seen before if you're part of the 10KTF ecosystem. We have long said that the other side was front ran by 10KTF. And what I'm talking about specifically here is Battletown. We had a Diamond Hands, Atari, and Mebinetta as team captains within Battletown, and we chose a team. And those teams, we actually accumulated points. And if you chose the right team, you were rewarded. So we've seen these mechanics in play, and now we're actually seeing it within the other side. And so I think this is such a fascinating point because what other mechanics are we actually seeing right now with 10KTF that are actually going to be folded in with the other side? And with Figgy at the helm, the founder of 10KTF, being at the helm of now the other side, we can speculate that we're going to see a lot more of what we've already done in 10KTF and what is to come for 10KTF play out for the other side. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think we'll see similar mechanics, but just at a heightened level, right? They have a bit more resources at their disposal with Yuka's just coin bag alone. So that being said, they can make bigger bets on some of these, experiences, if that's what we want to call them. But I'm curious as to maybe getting into a real brief speculation as far as what this 2D game could be. We have the hunter, the gatherer, and the farmer, and all these. I don't know if that's exactly it. Excuse me, folks, but I'm not a Mara, so or a legend, either of those things. I'm an Abomb, right? So the thing of it is do we see Tamagotchi? Is that where we're kind of thinking because they came in the shard, and then you gotta take care of it and whatnot till it can do its things, or is this shit just gonna pop out and be yo, Mara, and I'm this one and I'm gonna go do this right now? What do you think it is?
I'm not really sure. I think obviously it says I think that the vessels obviously landing on the land coda, if you have a coda, it says that you'll be able to do all three of these different actions. So if you're a hunter, gatherer, or whatever, a farmer, you're going to be able to do these things. And so with the actual vessels that are landing, what I found really interesting is that we talked about a meteor shower. And what I told you yesterday was that these meteors falling from the sky, they're going to land on other deeds, which I was like, that means that it's an airdrop. And you were like, dude.
He didn't say this at all. He didn't say it at all.
But what's crazy is that today they released that every meteor, the vessels are landing on everyone who owns another deed. So with that, obviously they're talking about, the enchanter, the farmer, and the hunter. And I think a lot of people are I want the farmer. And these vessels being used on your land, I think that's how you're going to be able to do specific things within the other side. You have to have one of these vessels in order to do these individual different things. And ultimately, I think it all circles back to the Agora. And so I think Wagmi-san plays a significant role in everything that's actually playing out within the other side, as crazy as that sounds.
Right. Because you can farm something and you can hunt something and enchant something, but if you want it to like maybe get to that next tier of crafting it or combining it with something else or imbuing it with something else, you might have to go to good old Wagmi-san, which is in the Agora, essentially. And I also want to tip the hat to what we also speculated, how, we thought that maybe Thursday would be a tee-up for the second trip, and it clearly was. So, I mean, tip to the hat, pump our bags, But I think it's important to just really identify sort of what you're identifying is like these further connections of how, like, 10KTF is really a core branch of this greater tree that is Yuga, and it's that branch of, I think, a trade, where you trade items, you craft items, you imbue them and such. So I think it's really interesting to see that we are only getting further and further into that, and now we have these little characters that are gonna like hunt, enchant, and farm shit. So I guess the next step after that would probably be to be like, who's gonna craft or combine or imbue these things, right? So maybe.
Well, and there's that whole it's the whole convergence of everything, right? Like, what I foresee happening is that Yuga and 10KTF will eventually blend together, and it will all be one, and you'll be able to basically see that storyline unfold with the other side. Right. So we have been testing mechanics, we've been playing this role, and basically everybody that's in the Yuga ecosystem is going to be onboarded into 10KTF without knowing it, because they're going to start to use those mechanics. Now, with that being said, one thing that is super interesting is that on the day that Gucci announced the extension of their agreement, basically not an extension, but a new agreement actually with Yuga, a multi-year deal, there was also literally an hour later, Puma drops a brand new comic. And this comic is really interesting because I tweeted like, Puma's next, and then it was like literally within minutes this like comic drops, and it says, gotta say, you look older. And then it goes to Wagmi-san's glasses and it says, I am older. And then the next piece of this is as, it's good to see you again. Keyword is again. And then the next, he says, wasn't expecting an invitation. And then Wagmi-san says, not much left to expect at our age. Now come have some tea. The ending of this is, I certainly didn't expect how our paths would cross all those years ago. And then says, this tea is warmer than that summer was. Talking in reference to what happened last summer. And Super Puma says, ha. And then it says, still can't believe that's how it all began. And it's an etch-a-sketch of Battletown 2.0. So I want you to run wild with some Puma speculation. Let's air our bags. Let's see what you got.
Let's go. Okay, so Dilly's not going to pump his Puma bags. All right, I'll do it for you. So, I think essentially what we're going to see storyline-wise and what Battletown 2.0 will be is essentially the prequel of 10KTF and where we are now. We're going to be, and that also is good for the other side, where they can start to continue to build out and finite some of these mechanics that they're starting to play with all of these users. So meanwhile, we want to do something. So Battletown Season 2, even if it's just the first quarter of season, could have a large part of, it seems like, what happened to Wagmi-san, how him and Super Puma met, and their sort of story, and kind of how they both got to where they are, right? Like, I think that's super interesting to see, and it's something that the entire community has speculated. I mean, what haven't we speculated at this point, I guess? But we did go into one of those speculations of, we could see Wagmi-san as a younger person. We've seen that animation of him, long ago when he first got screwed over. Will Super Puma maybe be a continuation of that moment where, we see where Wagmi-san went and what he did after that? I mean, Super Puma's a cat, so
I think one thing that's super interesting about this clip is that it's talking about how they have this past relationship. And if you know anything about the Puma comics, you actually have the evil Puma and then you have Super Puma and this actual time machine that travels between time-space continuum. And if you think about if Wagmi-san and Super Puma have worked together over the years, and the one that's depicted here is actually a one-of-one, the older Super Puma, what we're going to see is how they actually met, which is huge, and what happened last summer, which has always been a question within 10KTF. So the future outlay is obviously they become friends, and they have built a relationship throughout this time period. And with that being said, we're seeing the first introduction of Super Puma into the 10KTF timeline, which means that 2,000 Super Pumas that are reserved for 10KTF will now be actually unlocked and opened up for the 10KTF community. So we're going to see at least, some kind of raffle, claim, or airdrop within the next few weeks because of this opening the door of Super Puma to the 10KTF ecosystem. So on top of the 2,000 that are, the 2,000 of this new collection that's coming out, you have 1,500 that will be allocated to 10KTF and then 500 that are going to Super Puma holders that are raffled off. But there's also 2,000 Super Puma PFPs that are going to go to the 10KTF community as well.
That's nuts. I had no idea that was the case. So now I'm even more jazzed. So let's go, baby. Pump our bags, Puma. But at the end of the day, I think what the most interesting part of this whole situation is again, the storylines being rolled out, us seeing a prequel to the 10KTF story that we've seen thus far, and, getting a little bit deeper dive into Wagmi-san, and what he's all about.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a wild, actual unravel there. And I think one of the biggest things, too, about all this is it's a great segue into the April drop with 10KTF and Puma for that limited collection. So they're going to do that 2,000, world record-breaking collection. And what we speculated on a previous video is that that's going to be actual sneaker that's introduced into the 10KTF ecosystem that are completely customizable. And the world record would be that they actually make them into physicals, and they'd be actual one-of-ones that are completely customizable, making them the most limited drop production run in the history of the world, which would be a massive endeavor. And really, realistically, that's just amazing. So I'm hyped about that. I'm definitely going to get my hands on those shoes.
Bro, I would buy, not financial advice, but I'm going to try to buy 2 of those damn things. Because, again, they're setting a world record. And I'm not a sneakerhead myself, but I have friends who are. So I understand what that means to the sneakerhead world. If you have literally a one-of-one that is and it's a part of a collection that was a world record-setting collection, the first of its kind ever done, that's mind-blowing, bro. So yeah. I think that's amazing. The last thing I wanted to do to pump some bags really quick is the Gucci cloth. I was thinking about Puma and what they're doing, and Gucci cloth has been sitting there for a while. And with this new activation or, deal that Yuga has with Gucci, it's we're back, baby. So now I'm really curious to find out what this Gucci cloth is going to do. But the speculation side of it is I could see them doing something similar, maybe to Puma, in the sense of we're going to make this a physical that may be a one-of-one. I don't think that Gucci will personally do that, but what I do think is, let's say if you have one Gucci cloth, maybe that gets you a Gucci wallet, right, from a specific Gucci Vault only collection that they drop. Or you have this potential where you have a Gucci, you burn 2 and you get a Gucci whatever. But that's very interesting. But we're also talking about the utility and the ability of what holding a Gucci Grail would do with Gucci'da on his space. And it was interesting because I said, what if Gucci did something similar to what Beeple did, except for in the metaverse, where they hold essentially a party, if you will, in a metaverse that they can host, and whoever shows up gets a free airdrop of a Gucci NFT that's also a physical. That would blow people's effing minds to wait a minute, how? And you can only get into this event if you own a Gucci Grail. So what it's what is Gucci going to do as far as utility with some of these like already existing assets that are on the blockchain, bro, I think the sky's the fucking limit.
Dude, Otherside is going to open so many doors and so many different possibilities, so many different mechanics that we haven't even touched on. And I think, honestly, our channel is about to turn into Otherside speculation more than 10KTF speculation. But that's why we're branded Speculation Alley. And with that being said, I want to say thank you for watching another week's episode. Every single Wednesday, tune in, pump our bags, baby. Subscribe to the channel to help us pump more bags, and give this video a thumbs up. And if you got any speculation yourself, feel free to drop it below. And if you don't like comments in the comment section, come through to our Twitter spaces where we hash things out with the community. It's at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitter. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.